Hi, I'm Tim, he's Brian. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. We are the team with the theme gearing up for Thanksgiving with sports watches, because while we're all stuck inside, these watches take us abroad in spirit. Adventure for your wrist. Brian, tell me what you're wearing today. Let's do a wrist check.
So I am wearing a 44mm Octosport. This is a one of 8-piece edition that was made for us. The differentiator being a blue dial. So this is the most current version of the Octosport. It features the ceramic bezel, the titanium bracelet without the pushers, as well as a differentiated metal for the bumper on the side, as well as the crown. And, you know, again, just an overall great watch, and a watch that I enjoy wearing. Oh, and it does feature a aluminum movement.
That's right, aluminum movement, titanium case. This is the latest style, but with a special blue lacquer dial with lovely off-white lume as well as printing. It's not quite white, it's a little bit off-white to give it a creamy richness alongside the blue. And of course, since we are doing sports watches today, we have my well-known Sinn EZM11. It was a 500-piece limited edition for 2017, a tribute to the original 1997 EZM1 built for the German Federal Customs Enforcement Service. Still a fun piece today, and not the only Sinn on the table. So Brian, let's take a look at your first watch.
Why don't we start here with a Vacheron Overseas. So this is the Vacheron Overseas Generation 3, meaning it was the third iteration of the watch and the most current version of the watch. From the version 2, the watch was tailored down. It's 41mm. One of the biggest differentiating factors of this watch versus the others is the adjustable bracelet. So an ingenious mechanism that allows you to change the bracelet yourself. The watch comes originally with a rubber strap, crocodile strap, as well as this bracelet, so that you can, change it yourself completely. I guess I shouldn't even say it's a rumor, because it's not a rumor, but it's sometimes confused that this watch was produced or designed by Gerald Genta, and that was in fact not the case. This was Vacheron's answer to the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, and to me, it is a great substitute for those pieces if you're finding that those are hard to find.
Now, a lot to love about this watch. As Brian mentioned, the design itself was not Gerald Genta, though the original inspiration for this watch, the 222, was released back in 1977, and it was of the era of the Genta integrated bracelet case watches, but the original design of the 222 was Jörg Heisek. Now, this watch, of course, is the Overseas, not the 222, which means that it represents a modern-day update of the 222, starting in 1996 with its first generation designed by Vincent Kaufmann and Dino Modolo. So the fathers of the Overseas 3 are many, but the timepiece is gorgeous, superlative, and arguably the best value in its class, as the watch retails for about $20,900, and I think these days they sell pre-owned for just about that with the black or the blue dial. Mm-hmm. Really nice dial, incredible luster and depth. Sorry about my fingerprints here, but if you notice, it has that lovely gloss with the metallic, almost mirrored base that you probably recall from a popular dress watch from another manufacturer, and that is no coincidence. Inside the case, the first time we've seen this in a Vacheron Overseas, the Generation 3 with manufacturer movements here, automatic winding with a 60-hour power reserve, and superlative water resistance, 150 meters and 25,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetic. So the Overseas really gives you a little bit of everything. Now, taking a quick look at the bracelet, my single favorite feature here is the pull-out quick-release system, or I should say there is a quick-release system. It is a pull-out micro-adjustment on both sides of the clasp.
All sports watches should have that.
Yeah, 1.5 millimeters on each side, and note every single link on both sides of the bracelet is removable. As Brian mentioned, this really is the standard. Every sports watch should have these features. Let's start with something absolutely nuts. This came out in the mid-2000s, about 2005. Gerald Genta, the company, not the man, released this extraordinary 45.5 millimeter tantalum and rose gold Arena Quattro chronograph. There is a lot going on this dial. This dial, which includes 4 retrogrades and a jump hour. It's a chronograph, and an extraordinary one. Now, it's here because it's a chronograph that's 100 meters water resistant with a screw-down crown. So while unlikely this is a sports watch, turning it over, it has what must be the most handsome variation on the Frederic Piguet 1185 I've ever seen. They call it a potter's gold fashion. It is all engine turned or perlaged with gold plating on the 1185 vertical clutch column wheel base with Gerald Genta's own extraordinary quadruple retrograding jump hour chronograph module. I'm going to put it on the wrist. It is a big watch. I'll do a quick wrist shot with both this and the overseas. But you can see this monstrous monolith of metal, absolutely commanding on the wrist. If you've got the wrist for it, what a way to style, as this timepiece is high horology, low volume, handmade, hand finished, and extraordinarily rare. Also very distinctive and lovable. It is a timepiece that will make you smile.
I wish we had the what does it weigh scale, because it's one of the heavier watches that I think that we've had on the show in a long time.
Yeah, you ask what does it weigh? My answer is a lot. Highly technical terminology. Here's the Vacheron, which you can see is 41 and not too thick either. That's one of the advantages of this. Even though it is a sports watch with a lot of water resistance, it doesn't stack up on the wrist. And then we'll do a quick wrist shot with the, why don't we do the Super B and introduce the star from Hublot.
Sure. So here we have the Hublot Super B, 42 millimeters with a rubber strap and rubber bezel. You've got screw down pushers there. And this is the granddaddy to the Big Bangs and the Classic Fusions. So this watch was birthed from the original Hublot Classic that came out in, I believe it was 1980. And it still features that same rubber strap that the first versions did. And those original classics were arguably the first rubber strapped watches. And to me, when I think Hublot, honestly, there's a lot of folks that think Big Bang, but this is the first watch that comes to mind along with the classics, because I just remember those watches vividly.
And it really is a special piece. This was actually the first Jean-Claude Biver project 1 year before the Big Bang. In 2004, this was his debut with Hublot, as he had become a stakeholder as well as the CEO, partnering with founder Carlos Croco in order to save the company that had fallen on hard times by the early 2000s. He came out of retirement after a grand career with Blancpain and Omega, and he made Hublot sort of his retirement project, and I think probably even he was surprised at how well that worked out.
It's amazing to me as well how relevant a watch like this is today, when you think about when it was produced, where the brand transitioned into, and how this particular size and style is very much in vogue now. And you even saw that with the trend of the Classic Fusion getting smaller.
Yeah, you saw it in 2004, the Super B, and then the next year we went up 2 millimeters with the Big Bang, and then in 2008 we went to the 48 millimeter King Power, and now what does everyone want? A more compact watch, and the Super B is really coming back into its own stylistically. 100 meters water resistant, automatic winding, well loomed, a very versatile watch. But I think I have one also 42 millimeters in steel that might even go one better. This is the Sinn 358 Diapal. Now this watch gives you everything you need. A little bit bigger than its predecessor, the 356. This 42 millimeter steel timepiece is a dual time chronograph. And I'm going to show you the brilliance of this system that Sinn uses. The watch actually features a second hideaway hand for the second time zone. So it's there when you want, and it's gone when you don't. The watch uses a top grade ETA 7751, and the 7751 in this watch also includes some of Sinn's famous graces, such as the AR dehumidification system. You can see there is a copper sulfate capsule, replaceable, that's screwed into the side of the case, and the interior of the case, in spite of the AR, is actually filled with nitrogen. So the nitrogen displaces the moisture that would naturally occur inside atmospheric air, and then the copper sulfate capsule pulls out any additional moisture that might sneak in during the course of the watch's service. So the watch is always refreshed with a new capsule and more nitrogen when it goes back for service. It's also remarkably resistant to thermal variations and extremes, as it's capable of withstanding 80 degrees Celsius and negative 45 degrees Celsius. The watch is 100 meters water resistant, and again, it uses that top grade ETA 7751 inside the case. So this is a timepiece that gives you an enormous amount of versatility and looks fantastic on the wrist. A dual-time automatic chrono that's swimmable is pretty close to the perfect watch, and that's why, for me, of the two Sinns on the table, I have a sentimental attachment to EZM 1.1, but I'm not sure I can honestly claim it's a better all-around watch than this 358 Diapal, and that's the last cool Sinn technology you're getting here. It uses a Sinn proprietary synthetic diamond-coated escapement, the anchor as well as the escape wheel, so that it does not need to be lubricated, which is why Sinn equips all the Diapal watches with 5-year warranties. This uses an unlubricated diamond-coated escapement that is entirely Sinn's technology. That's a mouthful for a 42mm watch that costs well
Great
under
piece.
$4,000.
Did that ever come on a bracelet?
You know, there is a bracelet available. You can absolutely get the bracelet. It's an accessory option. You can buy it with the bracelet or the strap. This one came with the strap, but make no mistake, if you get the bracelet, it becomes a much more committed sports-looking sports watch. Okay, Brian, if folks want to reach out and touch any of these watches, how do they reach out and touch us?
So you can reach out to social@thewatchbox.com, or you can reach out to myself on Instagram, Brian Govberg, or Tim on his Instagram channel. And if you have any questions, you know, feel free. You can always post in the comments. We're active on answering them. And you know, if there's ever anything that you guys want us to bring on the show, or just show topics in general, feel free, put it in the comments, because we're likely to do a show on it.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, if you want to reach out to me for purchase or pricing, my purchase and pricing email contact is tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And as Brian mentioned, we absolutely take requests. If you come up with a theme you want to see on this show, or even if it's just one watch, let us know in the comments below. Other than that, be happy, be healthy, and have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. Time out, Tim out, Brian out, and thanks for logging on.